Orbit over Earth, Lagrange point alpha. Date, January 7th, 2271-0300 UTC. Captain Maravi stood before the reinforced viewing pane of Argo Bastion, Earth's last orbital fortress, as the night side of the planet rotated into view. Below her, the cradle of humanity slumbered in ignorance. They had no idea what was coming. "Telemetry confirms object deceleration at threshold distance," said Lieutenant Bryn, voice clipped, skin pale. Mara didn't answer immediately. She was transfixed by the incoming anomaly, a tight wedge of energy signatures, black heat blooming against the void. Not asteroids, not debris, ships, massive ones, hundreds of them. "Raise global alert," she finally said, her voice flat. "Code black. Prepare for immediate contact." Bryn's eyes widened. "Ma'am, that would do it." As klaxons wailed, the bridge of Argo Bastion snapped to life. Officers rushed to terminals, calls rang out to Earth-based defense stations, and orbital batteries powered up for the first time in decades. Below, continents stirred. Emergency broadcasts flickered across cityscapes. From the Arctic domes to the Amazon arcologies, people stared skyward. They had 6 minutes. 5 minutes later, the Zalvari came in silence. No warning, no declaration, only death. They dropped from FTL like thunder across a clear sky, formation perfect, encircling Earth's orbitals in a net of matte black dreadnoughts, each the size of a city. The first strike hit Solstice Relay over Europe. One moment it was transmitting, the next, it bloomed in a white-hot explosion visible from the ground. Seconds later, New Tianjin Tower disintegrated in a burst of kinetic rots. Then Aegis Ring over the Pacific was simply gone, cut in half by a particle lance that split the moon's light. Mara's voice cut through the chaos. "Engage all defense platforms. Fire everything." Argo Bastion shuddered as its mass driver cannons launched a storm of tungsten shells. Nuclear-tipped interceptors streaked from surface silos. AI-controlled defense drones rose from hidden caches on the moon, swarming toward the alien intruders. The sky became a battlefield. Inside the fortress, chaos reigns. Explosions rumbled through the bastion's lower decks. Hull integrity was failing. Entire sections vented a vacuum. Mara raced down a scorched corridor, armor half-sealed, helmet clutched under her arm, barking orders. Evac shuttles launch priority. All civilian decks empty now. Where the hell is fire control? A Marine slammed into the wall next to her. "Dead, ma'am. Deck 7's gone." They punched straight through. "Then reroute the backups." Before she finished, a tremor knocked them both off their feet. The floor heaved. Screams echoed through the smoke. "That's the reactor. We're compromised," someone yelled. Mara got up, eyes burning. She looked toward the Earth through a shattered viewport. Fires already raged in the upper atmosphere. Whole city clusters incinerated in real time. Flashes on every continent. Missile trails. Impact blooms. She whispered, "God help us." Evacuation. Last orders. In the Bastion's launch bay, a dozen shuttles waited. Families, officers, engineers, whoever was left, scrambled aboard. The Bastion's power grid flickered as overloads surged through dying systems. Mara arrived in full armor, face streaked with soot. Priority evac to Titan and Mars bases. "If you've got engines, launch. Don't wait for orders." One pilot, a young ensign barely past 20, called out, "Captain, you're coming with us." "No," she said, eyes like steel. "I'll launch the decoy cores. Buy you time." "Captain, that's an order." The shuttle bay opened. Explosive decompression howled, sucking air and screams into space. Shuttles kicked off one by one, engines flaring like fireflies in hell. Mara stayed behind. Bridge, countdown to oblivion. She limped back to the ruined bridge, blood seeping through her shoulder joint. Smoke and sparks coated the command deck. The main screen flickered, then stabilized. An alien face emerged, obsidian skin, eyes like galaxies imploding. "Human," it said in perfect standard. "You are outmatched. Submit." Mara looked around at the broken husk of her ship, at the wreckage of Earth behind her, at her own reflection in a cracked console, and then she spat blood on the deck and keyed the final command. "Bastion override. Hellfire protocol. Core detonation sequence initiated. Launching decoy reactors. Burn the sky before they take our bones," she whispered. Then she pressed the button. Space. The detonation. From the Bastion's core, for nuclear decoy cores launched in opposing directions, each mimicking the station's energy signature. The Zalvari weapons paused, just for a heartbeat. That heartbeat was all the Bastion needed. The self-destruct ripped through the station's spine. A blinding light erupted in orbit. The shockwave tore across the battlefield, disabling 3 Zalvari cruisers and scattering the drones. More importantly, it gave the fleeing shuttles just enough time to escape. Mara's body never left the command deck. Earth, Ground Zero. On the surface, chaos. Cities like Paris, Shanghai, and Nairobi were reduced to ash. Defense silos launched in futility, only to be intercepted mid-flight. But even in the burning, humans fought back. In underground bunkers, in high-altitude bases, in sea fortresses built for extinction-level events, pockets of resistance began to form. Civilians turned militia. Engineers repurposed mining bots into mechs. Ex-soldiers open-locked armories. One rogue AI from the Mercury Data Archive defected to the humans, stating, "Statistical extinction is irrelevant when willpower exceeds input variables." Titan Outpost. Message to the stars. 3 days later, from a buried transmitter deep beneath the ice crust of Titan, a signal was broadcast to every human colony, asteroid base, mining rig, and forgotten outpost. "This is Captain Mara Weiss. Earth has fallen. Do not surrender. Do not negotiate. If they want our species dead, they'll have to pry US from the stars. We are wolves. And this is our last Hal. Titan's Forge, Subsurface Command Bunker, January 10th, 2270-10430 UTC. 3 days after Earth was reduced to a graveyard of cinders and blackened oceans, a new headquarters for humanity's remnants came to life deep beneath the methane-laced ice of Titan. Titan's Forge had never been built for war. It was a mining colony turned emergency command facility, patched together by orbital engineers and aging ex-military personnel. The air smelled of recycled carbon, oil, and desperation. Walls sweated from constant condensation. Lights flickered above a makeshift war table where the future of humanity now hung in the balance. Captain Mara Weiss stood at the center of it all, her right arm sleeved in a makeshift med wrap, face paler than it had ever been. Her survival was a miracle of velocity and steel. Moments before Argo Bastion detonated, a surviving Marine had dragged her into an unlaunched drone pod and fired it blind towards Saturn. The pod had crash-landed in Titan's upper atmosphere and been rescued by scavenger drones. "Status report," she rasped, voice shredded by smoke and grief. A dozen eyes turned toward her. The room fell into tense silence. Lieutenant Bryn, now her adjutant, pulled up the holographic map. It showed the Sol system, but it looked wrong now. Earth was blacked out, a gaping wound surrounded by blinking red. 72% of Earth's surface is uninhabitable. We estimate over 5 billion casualties. Remaining survivors are underground, scattered, or cut off. Mars colonies are partially intact. Luna lost all atmosphere. Venus is dark. Europa sent one last burst 3 hours ago, coded in emergency AI script. We believe it's under siege. Military assets? 37% of the Terran fleet is destroyed or missing. We have 4 functioning cruisers in the belt and a dozen older destroyers on Pluto's station. Titan has 3 gunships, 300 combat drones, and half a battalion of Marines. Mara nodded slowly, letting it all settle in. Then she looked around the table. Names. I want to know who's left in charge. One by one, the survivors stepped forward. Fleet Commander Armin Hassan, former head of the Pluto detachment, stepped forward, a bear of a man with a prosthetic jaw and ice-scarred eyes. "Captain, I'll coordinate remaining fleet assets." General Lee Riker, ex-Olympus Mons command, thin and wiry, nodded. "I still command the Mars regiments. We have around 8,000 troops." Dr. Odessa Lai, said a woman in a lab coat too clean for the situation, xenobiology and AI research lead. "My team's been decoding the Zalvari signal patterns." Mara looked them all over. "Scarred, exhausted, but not broken." "Then let's be clear. Earth is gone. The Council is dead. We are all that's left. We are no longer a peacekeeping force. We are a resistance." A silence followed, heavy and absolute. She stepped forward, activating the room's primary relay beacon. Her voice, grim and unflinching, would now be broadcast to all surviving human settlements across the solar system. "This is Captain Mara Weiss. Earth has fallen, but humanity lives. We are activating the no surrender protocol. From this moment forward, no human shall surrender to the Zalvari. No treaty, no negotiation, no retreat. We will bleed them on every moon, in every tunnel, behind every airlock." She paused, then added, "We are survivors of extinction. Let them learn what that means." The beacon blinked once, and the message was sent. Moon of Ganymede, Civilian Bunker Alpha. A family of miners huddled in silence as Mara's message echoed through the loudspeakers. Children stared at the transmission like it was a ghost. Mothers gripped tools, turned weapons. Fathers rose with steel in their eyes. From the dark of the bunker, a 12-year-old boy whispered, "We're going to fight back." Mars orbital platform, Red Ring Command. General Riker stood before his remaining troops, mostly conscripts, corporate security, a few ragged veterans. When the message ended, no one cheered. They just nodded, strapped on their gear, and began prepping kinetic mortars. Titan's Forge, War Table. Hassan leaned over the star map. "We need a plan, Captain. Something more than words." Mara pulled up a display of Zalvari ship routes. "They've established a central stronghold above Earth's ruins. Their fleet fans out from there. They're not used to asymmetric warfare." Riker grinned grimly. "You want to go guerrilla?" "Exactly." She keyed a command. Maps shifted. "First, we target their logistics, power cores, transmission beacons, supply ships. Hit them in transit. Force them to spread thin. Then we pick off their hunting fleets one at a time. And we use everything. Old drones, AI, bioweapons, whatever the hell we have left." Dr. Lai stepped in. "We cracked part of their encryption. Their language is hieroglyphic, multisensory input. I'll have something we can use in 2 weeks. Then work faster." "We don't have 2 weeks." Midway Station, asteroid belt. Under the red glow of a failing reactor, a mercenary captain named Darnell Knuckles Voss watched the broadcast. He was a killer, smuggler, and opportunist. But when the words "no surrender" hit his ears, something in him stirred. He looked at his crew. "Tell the others. We're back in the game." Titan's Forge, operations room. 72 hours later, Mara stood before the assembled resistance. Marines, engineers, AI cores, even a few rogue cyborgs. Over 1,000 minds, all with one purpose. This is the first war humanity fights as one species. No borders, no nations, only survival. The screens lit up with target zones, refueling stations, relay hubs, exposed Zalvari frigates. We are no longer protecting Earth. We are avenging it. As the meeting dissolved into operational squads, Mara stayed behind, watching the stars beyond the ice-crusted dome. Her hand trembled. The weight of it all finally hit. Then she curled her fingers into a fist, and the trembling stopped. Mars surface, Elysium Impact Base in January 14th, 2271 2:30 MST, Mars Standard Time. Red dust churned beneath armored boots as the resistance strike team stalked through the burned-out husks of pre-collapsed Martian domes. Once home to thriving research colonies and corporate extraction hubs, the Elysium Basin was now a graveyard. Lieutenant Darian Holt led the squad, his exo-armor scorched and patched in a dozen places. Behind his mirrored visor, his eyes never stopped scanning. He'd been a miner once, then a smuggler. Now he was a soldier, the kind forged not in military academies but in the blood and fire of extinction. "Movement, 12 o'clock," whispered Sergeant Kiva Ramirez over comms. Darian knelt and peered through the thermal scope mounted to his gauntlet. Silhouettes, four-legged, spindly, twitching. Zalvari scouts. They moved like spiders, but with elongated heads and twitching metallic limbs. Rally Point Tango is just beyond those ruins. We move silent. Knives first, guns later. The squad nodded. They were the Black Teeth, a ghost unit long thought disbanded. Each of them carried a chip in their spine from the defunct Titan Vanguard program. They were faster, stronger, deadlier, and officially, they didn't exist. The strike began in seconds. Ramirez darted left, blade in hand. She leapt onto a Zalvari scout, driving the monomolecular knife into its eye slit. Holt lunged forward with a gravity pulse rifle, firing a silent burst that disassembled another drone mid-stride. They dropped all 6 scouts in 30 seconds. "No alarms. Clear," Holt said. "We keep moving." Martian Resistance Command, Dust Vault Sigma. General Lee Riker watched the squad's feed from a secure vault embedded beneath Olympus Mons. The data link was unstable, fuzzing every few seconds. Still, the sight of Black Teeth operatives carving through Zalvari patrols brought a grim smile to his face. "That's how you teach them to fear," he muttered. The Zalvari had occupied much of Mars, airstripping terraforming spikes, mind-kill beacons, and gravity flares. Civilian deaths numbered in the millions. But Mars was too large to fully subjugate, too broken, too stubborn. "Get me Holt," he barked at the comms officer. A flicker later, Holt's blood-streaked visor filled the screen. "Lieutenant, new intel confirms a Zalvari communication node buried near the Olympus freight artery. Your squad hits it. Blow it sky high." "Copy that, General." "And Lieutenant, make it loud." Zalvari Node Outpost 77A. The structure looked like a spear stabbed into the planet's crust. Bone-white metal twisted around humming alien cores, crackling with purple energy. Guard drones orbited it like flies. Holt's squad watched from a high ridge. "We can't brute force that," Ramirez said. "Too many watchers." "We don't need brute force," Holt replied. He activated a beacon on his wrist. Moments later, the Martian ground trembled. A plume of red erupted on the flank of the ridge as an old, half-buried mining mech, 3 stories tall and jury-rigged with scavenged weapons, lurched to life. "Courtesy of the Elysium scavs," Holt said. "Let's draw some eyes." The mech charged downhill, roaring and spitting molten death from its autocannons. Drones peeled off from the spire to intercept. "Now," Holt barked. The black teeth sprinted into the blind spot left behind. Ramirez lobbed an EMP charge into the first turret nest. Sparks. Collapse. Holt fired a burst of plasma into a vent, melting through the spire's outer shell. They breached the inner node chamber, where alien symbols pulsed across translucent walls. "Lies data better be right," Holt muttered. He pulled out a human-built virus spike, an AI-coded corruption worm designed to overload alien systems. With a grunt, he stabbed it into the node's neural relay. The wall screamed. Literally. Orbit over Mars. A Zalvari cruiser monitoring transmissions from Outpost 77A shuddered. The corrupted signal fed back into its comms array, overloading circuits. Fire erupted from its undercarriage. The ship lost orbit and crashed into the Valles Marineris. Node spire collapse imminent. "It worked," Ramirez said breathlessly. "No time to admire it. Det pack, now." Holt placed a shaped charge against the spire's core. They fled as the countdown ticked. At 60 meters, the explosion hurled them like dolls. Dust roared across the valley. The spire disintegrated, cracking down its length like a dead tree. As Holt lay on his back staring at the red sky, he whispered, "That one was for Earth." Martian resistance uplink. Hours later, General Riker addressed his command staff. "Today, the Black Teeth destroyed a critical Zalvari node. We've confirmed the death of at least one enemy capital ship as a result. This is the first real blow we've landed." He raised a fist. "This is how we win. Not with fleets, with blades in the dark, with fire in our bones, with iron in our blood." The room erupted in cheers. The frigate Defiance drifted like a wounded animal in the frozen black between Pluto and Charon, cloaked under a field of passive heat sinks and magnetic distortion. Its hull bore the carbon scars of a dozen battles, but its core pulsed steady. It was alive, and on board, so were the few who still dared to fight between the stars. Captain Armin Hassan stood at the bridge's fractured viewport, his breath fogging despite the thermal layers. The Defiance was old Earth steel pre-Council, pre-Pax Solara, built for one thing: war. Hassan, grizzled and cybernetically enhanced after a decade mining rogue moons, had repurposed the relic into a pirate hunter. Now it was a spear in the dark. Zalvari patrol just crossed the ice belt. Came the voice of his weapons officer, Senovac. 2 scouts, light armor, faster than us, but not smarter. He turned to the crew. Positions. Now, within moments, Defiance powered to life. Weapon systems hummed. Fusion batteries surged. External plating shifted to expose torpedo bays. The ancient war machine had teeth again. "No comms, no warnings," Hassan said. "We ghost them." Outer belt. Ambush site, echo red. The Zalvari scouts glided through the debris field, scanning for energy signatures. They detected a minor thermal surge, just enough to pique interest. As they turned to investigate, the trap was sprung. Defiance opened fire. Kinetic lances, long rods of depleted uranium accelerated to relativistic speeds, punched through the first scout, turning it into a glittering mist of black fluid and metal. The second ship veered, reacting with alien precision, but it was already too late. Hassan launched a cluster torpedo, a spinning payload of magnetized flechettes. The scouts' shields buckled under the saturation barrage. It exploded. Cheers erupted on the Defiance bridge. Minimal power signature. No transmission bursts, Senna confirmed. We took them before they screamed. Good. That buys us hours. Pluto Forward Command Base. Subcrust shelter. Hassan transmitted a low-frequency pulse to the underground base built into Pluto's nitrogen cliffs. A makeshift bunker command lit up in response. The base commander, Ria Nasser, appeared as a grainy hologram. You took out the scouts? Ghosted them. No trail. We ready. The package is loaded. You sure about this route? Hassan looked grim. It's either we punch through the Helix Pass and drop the beacon inside their main comm net, or we stay here waiting to die. Nasser nodded. Titan's counting on that data burst. It's now or never. Mission brief. Operation Stiletto Echo. Objective. Insert a quantum relay package into the Zalvari Deep Space Relay Grid. Goal. Hijack the enemy signal network and piggyback a Trojan worm that would map the entire fleet infrastructure. Hazard. Deep within contested space, inside a swirling corridor of radiation and magnetic storms known as the Helix Pass. Only 3 ships had ever entered it. None came back. Until now. The Helix Pass. Entry point. Defiance accelerated into the swirling storm of cosmic debris. Pulsars flared. Radio static screamed through sensors. Every surface vibrated with distortion. AI backups failed within seconds. The crew went manual. Hassan gritted his teeth as he guided the ship with instinct alone. His neural link screamed pain, but he didn't let go. Hold her. Stay in the trough, Senna yelled, keeping power flows balanced by hand. The storm clawed at them. Hull plates warped. Plasma vented. A secondary engine exploded, but they made it through. On the other side, a breathtaking sight unfolded. A massive lattice of Zalvari relay nodes, like obsidian stars strung together by glowing webbing. And at its heart, a singularity core, pulsing with alien power. Mother of God, someone whispered. Infiltration. Hassan activated stealth protocols. They drifted closer. Senna, prep the spike. Timer set to 15 minutes. Once the virus maps their network, we blow the drive and jump blind back through the pass. Captain, this might kill us. Then make it count. They launched the spike. It latched onto the outer relay node and began its silent work. Inside Defiance, the lights dimmed. External systems powered down. The crew waited. Nobody spoke. Zalvari reaction. Suddenly, the lattice pulsed. A signal ripple surged across the net. They know. Move. Hassan shouted. 3 Zalvari hunter ships detached from the far end of the grid, accelerating. Senna primed the engines. Core's unstable. We blow it to jump. No NAV. Just burn. Do it. The drive detonated. Defiance was thrown into the storm. Aftermath. Hours later, the ship limped out of the Helix Pass, venting fire, hull blackened, crew unconscious. But they were alive. And the Trojan virus? Transmitting. Back on Titan, Dr. Odessa Lai stared in awe as alien fleet formations, communication chains, and weak points streamed across her screen. They did it, she whispered. We see everything now. The bones of Argo Bastion floated silently above the smoldering corpse of Earth. Twisted girders, drifting corpses, and ruptured fuel cells orbited like haunted constellations. Nothing living remained, or so the Zalvari believed. Inside a dead gun platform drifting among the ruins, 6 human commandos crouched in silence. Their blackened armor matched the carbon scars of the wreckage. No signals, no lights, no sound, just breath and heartbeat. Lieutenant Varia Rourke checked her chrono. We go in 60. Helmets tight. Comms silent. Mission is burn and bleed. This was Operation Ember Chain, a suicide mission to destroy a Zalvari planetary gravity well projector being built in low orbit. If completed, it would clamp Earth in a no-launch zone, making any future liberation impossible. Targets buried in the mid-bay of the Leviathan, Sergeant Dunn said, glancing at the enemy dreadnought drifting just 300 clicks off. That ship is bigger than a city. Then we turn the lights off in a city, Rourke replied. The drop. Their insertion was ballistic. The pod ejected without propulsion, drifting on vector momentum. No heat signature, no EM trail, just steel, ice, and prayer. They hit the outer shell of the Zalvari Leviathan with a dull clang, magnetic clamps biting into alien metal. No alarm. Rourke cut the hatch. Vapor hissed. The commando team slipped inside like shadows through a crack. Inside, the corridors were lined with biomechanical veins. The walls pulsed with faint blue light. Organic structures melded into steel, twitching with unseen rhythms. The place felt alive. "Jesus," whispered Private Lang. "It's like crawling into a goddamn beast." "Focus," Rourke snapped. "Objective is 3 decks down, forward module. Plant charges and get out. Descend into hell." They moved like phantoms. One Zalvari technician spotted them near a reactor nodule. Rourke didn't hesitate. Her blade slid through its neck with surgical grace. No scream, just twitching limbs and a soft hiss. They advanced, setting charges in pre-selected weak points. 1 on a power conduit, 2 near the Gravcore spine. The final charge would be manual, deep inside the control matrix. And that's where things went sideways. Ambush. As they reached the final chamber, a piercing shriek echoed through the Leviathan's hull. Lights flared. Organic walls contracted. Pustules on the walls burst with smoke. "They know. Move." Zalvari warriors emerged from the shadows, sleek and brutal. Plasma blades ignited. The fight exploded. Sergeant Dunn tackled one, both going over the railing into the abyss below. Lang got impaled by a spike. Corporal Hess took 2 down with thermite rounds before being shredded by enemy fire. Rourke dragged the final charge into the heart of the projector array. Bleeding, coughing, she slammed it into the core. No retreat, no surrender. She keyed the final detonator. The explosion. The Leviathan's midsection ruptured in a cataclysm of fire and force. Sections of the superstructure peeled away, spinning into space. The projector core was annihilated. From Titan's long-range telescopes, the detonation lit the night like a second sun. Titan Command. War Room. Captain Mara Weiss watched the feed in silence. "They did it," Dr. Lai confirmed. "The gravity well is gone. Earth is open again." Mara turned to General Riker. "Prepare Operation Cradle Fire. We go back." Martian orbit. Red Ring Tactical HQ. Riker slammed his fist on the table. "They burned the black to give us a shot. We're not wasting it. I want every fleet ready. We take Earth, or we die trying." Final scene. Rourke's transmission. Recovered from the comm logs before the explosion, her voice came through static. "We're not ghosts. We're fire. Burn the black. Make them bleed. For Earth. For all of us." The war had burned east. From the Pacific ruins to the high Eurasian shelf, the Earth campaign ignited in full. Cities once thought lost flared back to life with human defiance. Amid the shattered landscape of Moscow's ruins, scorched forests and frozen towers stood as tombstones to humanity's resilience. Now, they would become the stage for its vengeance. Captain Mara Weiss led one of the main spearheads into the Siberian kill zone, where the Zalvari had constructed a biomechanical fortress, Hive Red Halo. It pulsed with telepathic hums and towered over the wreckage of the old Kremlin. Inside that fortress, command signals to the remaining Earthbound Zalvari were routed, reinforced, and adapted. Destroying it would fracture their planetary coordination. But Red Halo was no ordinary fortress. It was a god machine, part citadel, part brain, part executioner. Strike Formation Echo Lance. Weiss moved with a reinforced strike formation composed of Martian Rangers, Titan Assault Walkers, Luna Rangers, and AI-integrated combat frames. Their path to Red Halo was carved in fire. Blocks of urban decay lit up by railgun blasts and anti-grav mines. Every block closer came with cost. Drones dive-bombed from cloaked perches. Ambush units burst from under frost-covered metro tunnels. Organic artillery bloomed from street-level sacks and fired viral shrapnel. Still, the humans advanced. At her flank, Corporal Jean lost an arm to a spore burst, but continued forward with one hand on his rifle and a combat knife in his teeth. Behind them, 2 AI tanks, Hammerborn and Devourer, turned a collapsing tower into a makeshift ramp and launched over it to crush an enemy node. Weiss didn't blink. "We bleed. They break. Keep moving." Red Halo, perimeter breach. By the 4th hour of combat, Weiss and her unit reached the outer wall of Red Halo. The sky above them flickered crimson from plasma storms churned by Zalvari atmosphere disruptors. Lightning arced sideways. The perimeter was defended by Voidkin, Zalvari command-grade entities clad in psionic armor. Each was a one-being army. Private Arlen went down screaming when one such creature inverted the gravity around him. EMP spread. Drop. Weiss triggered a full-spectrum pulse that overloaded the Voidkin's psionic dampeners. The Rangers surged forward, plasma bayonets slashing in hand-to-hand combat. The wall came down under the weight of explosives strapped to one dying Martian's back. He saluted even as fire took him. Inside the heart, the interior of Red Halo was grotesque. living walls, pulsating tubes, voices in their heads. Vice activated her neural dampener. Others followed suit. Still, the whispers clawed. You are extinct. You are lost. You are not worthy. Wrong species, she growled. Her squad moved in a spiral formation, cutting down gestation pods and disrupting data conduits. They planted charges at critical organ hubs and pushed toward the neural nexus, a throne of bone, metal, and light. There, they met the Warden, a Zalvari overmind entity. The Warden was massive, 10 feet tall, for arms, wrapped in entropy shields. It floated down with a shriek, warping light as it approached. The fight was brutal. Gene was bisected. A Luna Ranger lost his entire mech suit in one sweep. But they held, and when the Warden pierced Vice through the shoulder, she shoved her knife through its eye cluster and fired a micronuke cartridge into its mouth. The Warden disintegrated. So did much of the chamber. The collapse of Red Halo. As the humans escaped, fires raced along the biological corridors. The entire structure began to cave in on itself. From orbit, satellites captured the visual, a crimson tower melting like wax as internal systems failed. Back at Titan Command, cheers erupted. Dr. Lai confirmed it. Zalvari communications on Earth dropped by 61% within seconds. They were blind. The price. Only 14 of Vice's original 72 soldiers made it back. She emerged from the crater with her armor cracked and visor gone, one eye swollen shut. Her voice rasped through comms. I've read Halo is dead. Humanity still lives. Her words ignited what remained of global resistance, worldwide resurgence. With Red Halo destroyed, Earth erupted in uprising. In Tokyo's undersea vaults, surviving tech clans launched weather control platforms to blind Zalvari aerial patrols. In the American Midwest, militia remnants fused old freight trains into mobile artillery convoys. In India, the last Arc temples called upon their cryo-sleep warriors. The world was in flames, but the humans were dancing in it. The Wrath of Steel delves into the intense climax of humanity's fight against the Zalvari as Earth's battered but unyielding forces launch a massive counteroffensive against the alien war fleets threatening to crush all resistance. The chapter opens with humanity's combined fleets, spaceborne and planetary, rallying for what may be the final battle. The setting is a strategically critical system near Earth, known as the Ardent Rift, a volatile star cluster whose gravitational anomalies have made it a fierce battleground for control of the solar system's gateway. This system holds vital jump points and mining facilities essential for fueling the war effort. Captain Mara Vice, scarred from previous battles but burning with relentless resolve, commands the flagship Iron Vengeance. Alongside her are seasoned commanders from Mars, Titan, and the lunar colonies, each bringing their hardened troops and advanced technology. Their mission: break the Zalvari siege, disrupt the alien supply lines, and deliver a crippling blow to the enemy fleet command. The tension quickly escalates as the Zalvari unleash waves of biomechanical dreadnoughts and swarming drone wings. The fight is brutal. Space becomes a deadly chessboard of missile salvos, plasma bursts, and kinetic strikes. The humans' adaptive tactics, honed from years of guerrilla warfare, allow them to anticipate and counter the alien swarm's relentless assaults. Combat scenes are visceral. Boarding actions aboard enemy vessels, close-quarters fights in narrow corridors, and devastating ship-to-ship duels. Despite technological inferiority, humanity's raw grit, stubborn will, and innovative strategies begin to turn the tide. Captain Vice personally leads a squadron that breaches the command cruiser Void Reaper, targeting the Zalvari warlord controlling the fleet's hive mind. The battle within the ship is savage. Blasts echo through claustrophobic halls, and every step forward is paid for in blood. Vice's team plants explosives to cripple the vessel's command systems, crippling enemy coordination across the battlefield. Meanwhile, General Lee Riker coordinates the ground support and orbital artillery bombardments, synchronizing strikes that fracture enemy formations. The human fleet takes heavy losses, but the alien forces suffer even more. Each human casualty sharpens the survivors' resolve. At the climax, a colossal biomechanical war beast, the Titan Maw, breaks through the defensive lines, threatening to annihilate the human flagship. Vice's quick thinking and the combined firepower of the fleet bring it down, but not without sacrifice. several ships and hundreds of souls are lost. The chapter closes with the human forces battered but victorious. The Zalvari fleet is shattered, their advance halted. Humanity's war cries echo across the stars, bloodied but unbroken. They have proven once more why they are the unyielding force of the galaxy. The final lines emphasize the indomitable spirit of humanity. Steel and fire, blood and bone. We are the wrath that will not yield. The stars remember our fury, and they will never forget the name of humanity. Homecoming Fire serves as the powerful conclusion to humanity's relentless struggle against the Zalvari invaders, capturing the emotional and strategic climax that ultimately determines the fate of Earth and the human race. The chapter opens amid the aftermath of the massive victory at the Ardent Rift, where the shattered remains of the Zalvari fleet lie scattered. Despite their triumph, humanity faces an uphill battle. Earth's surface is scarred and broken, millions dead, and infrastructure shattered. Yet, hope burns brighter than ever in the hearts of the survivors. General Lee Riker stands on the bridge of the flagship Iron Vengeance, gazing down at Earth through a viewport streaked with cosmic dust. He reflects on the sacrifices made, from the black-clad commandos who burned the orbital gravity well, to the Marine vanguards who fought tooth and nail through ruined cities, to the cybernetic rangers who braved the Helix Pass. Every life lost has forged this moment. The narrative then shifts to the ground, where the liberation of Earth is underway in earnest. The scene pulses with fierce battles interwoven with moments of humanity's tender resilience. Civilians band together in shattered towns, rebuilding under fire. Engineers jury-rig weapons and power grids. Children learn to survive amidst ruins, embodying the future that humanity fights to protect. Captain Mara Weiss leads a convoy through a devastated Seattle, now a battleground littered with debris and Zalvari remnants. Her voiceover narrates the resolve that fuels their march to reclaim the planet, restore the home their ancestors built, and honor those who fell. The convoy encounters pockets of resistance, both alien holdouts and human collaborators, but fights with hard-won precision and unshakable spirit. One poignant moment follows a reunion scene where soldiers meet their families, showing the emotional toll of war and the strength of bonds that keep humanity grounded. Another scene shows scientists like Dr. Odessa Lai beginning the work of restoring Earth's ecosystems, blending ancient knowledge with new technology to heal the scarred world. Meanwhile, in orbit, the remaining human fleet repels a desperate Zalvari counterattack. It's a brutal clash of survival, where every shot and maneuver carries the weight of Earth's future. The tension is palpable, but humanity's unbreakable will and newly acquired intelligence from earlier operations give them the edge. The chapter's climax is a coordinated final strike, a massive orbital bombardment combined with simultaneous ground offensives aimed at crushing the last Zalvari bastions. Explosions ripple across Earth's atmosphere as alien fortresses fall one by one. The Zalvari command network collapses, fracturing their control and leaving scattered pockets vulnerable to human hunters. As the dust settles, humanity stands triumphant but forever changed. The final scenes evoke themes of renewal, sacrifice, and hope. The survivors look to the stars, not just as a place of war, but as a new frontier for human perseverance and unity. The story closes with General Riker's voice echoing, "We fought not just for survival, but for the right to be more than survivors. This is our home, our future. We carry the fire within us, bright, unyielding, eternal." The story of humanity is not over. It's only just begun. This chapter perfectly encapsulates the unbreakable spirit of humanity, resilient, determined, and endlessly hopeful, a species that refuses to surrender even in the face of annihilation.